We're witnessing history right now. It's Barbenheimer time! Two juxtaposing movies, Barbie and Oppenheimer, premiere on the same day to battle for the top of the box office rankings. Now, this isn't the first time this has happened. I think Christopher Nolan has something against female-centric movies. We are going to take on the double feature to see which film comes out on top. However, both movies are unique in their own ways, and hopefully they're worth the watch. We're still gonna have to find that part out.
We are going to give a full in-depth review, rating, and our full honest opinions about each movie. Warning, there's gonna be spoilers.
So growing up, I was always a big fan of Barbie. My mom never really liked Barbie, but I still had a bunch of Barbies growing up. So I had the mermaid Barbie where her hair turned pink, Barbie Princess and the Pop Star, the Princess and the Popper. But I'm very excited to see this movie because of all of like my prior knowledge on Barbie. I'm so excited.
I have no idea anything about Barbie, so I'm literally just gonna go in this with like a open mind, you know, just kind of see it how, you know, I don't know what's, you know, the Easter eggs, stuff like that, so it's gonna be a whole new world for me. And I guess it'll just be kind of cool to see how a viewer who doesn't know anything about Barbie enjoys the movie, like how well they, I guess, portrayed everything.
I'm very excited. I watched like every Barbie movie as a kid, so I'm excited to see if they have like, I know they have a mermaid, but will they have like the fairies, or I know it's like Barbie in the real world type thing, so maybe it won't have all the fairies, but I don't know. I'm excited to watch it.
Me too. I'm honestly pretty excited. I know it's mostly a comedy, so that's kind of different from what I was going to be expecting, so I think it's going to be pretty good and pretty funny, and that's kind of what I'm going in for and hoping for, so.
Ready?
I'm ready. Bye, Ken. Bye, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
Alright, so we are now out from the Barbie movie, and I personally have a lot of thoughts.
Me too.
We both kind of thought that the beginning part of Barbie was a little bit weird how they transitioned straight into the movie. I can kind of understand why they did it.
Yeah, the beginning and the origin of Barbie, I didn't understand that kind of part, but they did transition it well, just straight into how the Barbie land is.
But once they got into actual Barbie land, it made the child in me so happy because it had just all like the little things, like how Barbie's hand couldn't move, so like the cup didn't actually touch her lips.
She's very animatronic.
Right.
Just robotic with her movement.
And like when she went down the slide, how she was like this, and her hands were off to the side, like with her arms like
floating
that.
Around
right
into her vehicle.
Or like when they had the waffle and they put whipped cream on top of it, but the whipped cream was separate from the waffle. It didn't actually go into the waffle.
Everything was plastic and, you know, fake. So they did a really good job at portraying that. I mean, I don't have anything to do with Barbies, but I know that you have to play with it, you know?
Yeah.
Everything being fake, from the little toys, and what was it, like the refrigerator had like a sticker instead of like the actual
refrigerator.
items.
That, I love the way they did that, just because like when you opened the refrigerator, it had like things on the left side, but on the right side where there would actually be food, you would have a sticker, and that's how you would actually have in like a Barbie dream house, would just be a sticker or a piece of cardboard with like colored objects or food, for instance. Or how they had the actual Barbie dream house, the very original ones back in like the 30s, 40s, 50s. They would have clear windows on the side of the house so you can actually go and see inside the house. So that's why Barbie floated from the top to the bottom, because there was no like staircase to go down to. It was just wherever you wanted to put her.
They did a very good job at replicating, like, I think everything of Barbie. I mean, I wouldn't know, but it looked like Barbie Land. Like, that's all I gotta say. Like, if I imagine Barbie Land, that's exactly how I picture it. They should almost put a Universal park or something, you know? They should do a theme park of it.
They should.
That's how good of a job they did. They did include your mermaids, and I think your pink one specifically.
Yes.
Dua Lipa was the mermaids too. John Cena was a mermaid too. That was kind of funny. I like that.
I was not expecting
all the actors that they had in this movie are kind of hilarious. They chose some quality actors, and it definitely was a comedy for sure. They had some very naughty kind of sexual innuendos.
They had so many innuendos that like some of them even kids could probably figure out. Yeah, they like explicitly said it.
They blatantly said some of the, you know, kind of private areas out loud. So.
I knew that it was gonna be like adult kind of version of Barbie, but I still thought it would be like appropriate for like younger kids. But some parts in there were kind of
yeah. This movie's definitely more resonate with adults. It's definitely more for adult audience, I would say, because a kid ain't gonna really get the message out of it, in my opinion. It definitely is for an adult. I think the message was very clear in this movie.
I wasn't exactly expecting the message that they were portraying. It was more about like each individual character, not just Barbie and not just Ken, but like, for instance, Alan. It was about like self-reflecting and figuring out who they were as individuals and not just like, oh, I'm Ken, so I go to the beach.
The movie's trying to say, hey, you're your own visual person. You can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. And I think that's a good positive message for sure. We're not supposed to be stuck in our own ways, stuck to what the world is dictating upon us.
Branching off from that, they also had a mother-daughter combo. I honestly loved how they incorporated that, just because it was the mother who was so stuck in her ways. She had like a 9-to-5 job at a business, and she had a daughter who wouldn't connect with her, but she went back to her origins and played with the Barbies, and that's kind of how the whole movie like was unraveled and started.
Yeah, like that, how the message came about, because you know, like a lot of moms can relate. You know, you work your 9-to-5 and you're just kind of, I wouldn't say miserable life, but it's just kind of the same thing over and over again. They might not like their job, so they're not allowed to let loose because they're stuck. Overall, I would say this movie was a pretty solid watch. However, I don't think it's a movie that you can just keep watching. Like, I think it's just a one-time watch, honestly. But it's fun, it's upbeat, and it has a good message. It
was definitely entertaining and funny. Some parts I felt like were a little off. Maybe I'm just missing part of like the story or like why they put it into the movie.
There's some random parts, like
yeah,
some really random parts that just makes you go, you know?
Like some of it was like, okay, I love how they, for instance, incorporated all the history to it. How they had like Alan, who was just like another doll that they tried to do, like how they had Ken. Or how they incorporated Ruth, who was the original creator of Barbie. And I loved how they incorporated her into the movie. But then there was other parts that just really didn't make sense, personally.
Fun movie, has a lot of Easter eggs, I think.
Yes, definitely.
As we were describing with like Alan, and I think you said about like the pregnant doll.
Oh yeah,
some of the discontinued dolls. I definitely recommend to watch it, but yeah, I don't think it's a movie necessarily for kids, and I don't think it's a movie that you will probably keep watching over and over again.
I agree.
So, overall, I think I'll give the movie like a solid 8 out of 10. I'd probably say 8 out of 10. That might be a little bit generous.
I'd say 7.5.
Yeah.
Just strictly for the fact how they tied everything in to like my childhood and everything that I've ever known about Barbie. But how they put their like the little twist on it and made it into like the real world. I really did like that.
Yeah, I liked how I think everyone had a prediction of how this movie was going to be, and when you go into this movie, it's definitely not how you think it's going to be.
Right, because you watch the trailer, you get like the gist of it, but there's so much more to it that like I really didn't get that from the trailer.
Yeah. Bye, Barbie. Okay, so we're about to watch Oppenheimer now, in IMAX, I must say. That's the recommended way of watching it, so we're gonna see it in the best experience possible. It's a Christopher Nolan film. I love Christopher Nolan. He's probably one of the best directors of all time. Interstellar, Inception, he's amazing. So I'm only expecting a masterpiece out of this movie.
Honestly, I have only watched the trailer. I really don't know too much about the film, so I'm going into this with open arms, and I'm actually really excited.
It is like a history-based movie. It's about the story of Oppenheimer and the development of the nuclear bomb. She doesn't do too much of like history-type movies, but I think, you know, Christopher Nolan, he adds it action. I think he can make it for everybody. I personally am a huge like history kind of nerd, so this should be really interesting to me. I really hope that they kind of give you a good like history lesson. I want to be as like I'm a person who didn't know anything about Oppenheimer. I want to be able to watch this movie and like fully understand his story. And I'm sure Christopher Nolan will do that, but I'm curious how he's going to do it, make it understandable for a person who doesn't know much about it. So
I'm not a big history person, but when it comes to movies, like for instance, The Help, that has a lot of history in it, and I love to watch that movie, so hopefully it's something along the lines of that.
I think it'd be a pretty interesting movie. I'm looking forward to the visuals. I'm looking forward to, you know, the acting, Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr., both like top tier. There's a lot of great actors in this movie, so they should play a really good role. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how they portray the characters and what Christopher Nolan has in store for us. So without further ado, let's go get blown up. First time going into an IMAX theater. Right? Let's check it out.
That movie's already started. We're late. Holy.
Okay, we just got done, and honestly, it's a very long movie. You're gonna feel that time increment.
Honestly, I didn't feel it as much as I thought I would. Like,
I think it's because of the pacing.
Yeah.
They really like, I guess we'll just say, they jumped between like time, post-bomb and pre-bomb. So most of the story is being told from the point where he's being like interrogated, interviewed, and he's like having flashbacks to the time of him creating the Manhattan Project, or like involvement in it and creating the bomb. So I think that kind of just really ties it in, because I was going into this film hoping that they would have post-bomb showing how Oppenheimer kind of what he went through after the bomb, you know, what he thought, because, you know, that's important after you do something so like important, so devastating, so crazy. You got to know how they feel about it, how it impacts the world after.
Like we said before, I'm not a big history person, so the whole history part of it that's in there is kind of still foggy in my head. So it was a little bit hard for me to follow at times, but I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I'll put it that way.
They did a very good job at like telling the story of Oppenheimer. Honestly, like they started from the beginning, like how he started as a physicist, and all the way to the end. Like it's dedicated towards Oppenheimer. I mean, it is the title of the movie. You should know that it's going to be mostly telling his story. But yeah, starting with like him poisoning the apple and not really being a chemist, he didn't like that, and he wanted to do quantum physics, and how that kind of his drive, his passion for quantum physics just kind of overruled and inspired him. He wanted to do more. He wanted to see what he could do with it, which led him to be the perfect guy to lead the Manhattan Project. With his charisma and, you know, his passion, he got to where he wanted to be. And I think what really drove him down, and really what they heavily focus on, is his political affiliations in the movie, with his communism kind of ties with his wife, girlfriend, brother, you know, family members, other scientists that he deeply adores, but he also still is focused on his main mission, which is developing the bomb. But in order to do that, he cannot have those affiliations. So he had to do a lot of workarounds, a lot of, you know, lying, and not so much lying, but, you know, just keeping it down on the down low. He struggled hard with the government coming after him because of his communist ties, that they were starting to bring up files, bring up, you know, facts and stuff like that. This is from what I can get out of it, at least. A little bit deeper, probably more meaning behind it and more facts, but from what I got of it is essentially the government was just really trying to bring him down. They were really trying to take away and strip his credibility because they thought he was a communist, and they want obviously no communists involved in an American-based project. So really see him and his emotions and him struggling through of his absolute drive and passion for science. Like he has such a drive. He loves it. Like you can tell he just wants to do as much as he can with it. Part of it is he was a part of the H-bomb, but he wanted to be the father of it. He wanted to be the person with the H-bomb too. He loves science, but he also got to battle the morality part of it, where is it right, is it wrong, and he's got to battle the people that are against him and everyone who's out to get him, you know. He's got to battle all of that, but it's just two sides swinging back and forth. At the end of the movie, he had a powerful quote saying, in detonating the bomb, it could start a chain reaction across the world. And he said, I believe we have, which is metaphorically, because it's the new talk. It's going to keep spreading. Everything about him is just going to go boom, 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 everywhere. Almost as if it was like a nuclear neutron splitting, like chain reactions to cause the bomb. It's the new talk of the world. Nuclear energy is just going to keep expanding. But one thing in this film that they really heavily focus on that I did not expect is like the horror aspect. They really kind of delve deep into that. There's a whole period of in detonating the bomb that they just have minutes of silence, and just you can hear the breaths, you can hear the, you know, thoughts in their heads and racing, their reactions, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the shockwave, the sound of the bomb just blasts, and definitely got a few jumps out of people.
Yeah, definitely has a few jump scares. We don't need to talk about it.
And in the speeches that he made post-bomb or at least the Hiroshima bomb, he's kind of put as the face of the Hiroshima bombing, even though he has no involvement in it. So he's kind of made to, oh, hey, what do you think about your bomb being dropped in Hiroshima? And obviously he had to act like he loved it, because otherwise he'd be viewed as a communist and he would get punished for that. So he had to fake a lot of things. And in that scene, he's spewing out his lies, his unhonest thoughts, and his real thoughts are racing in his head, and it's portraying like visuals of like dead bodies, the people melting away, incinerating. And I love that fact. Like his real thoughts are in his head and haunting him, but he has to say all these fake thoughts to just keep himself saved from being a communist or considered a communist. So overall, I really actually enjoyed this movie. I thought it was pretty solid, like very good storytelling. Christopher Nolan with the cinematography, everything is very on point. He's great. Like he's a great film director. But it is a long movie, and I don't think this movie would be for everyone. This is definitely not a family sit-down movie. There is sex in it, and there is just serious, dark, thoughts that kids, probably wouldn't understand or
it's not like a feel-good, happy movie where they're like, oh, everything's sunshine and rainbows at the end. Like, it has a very deep meaning behind it. It's
definitely dark and depressing, but I do think it's a good message, and I think it's a learning lesson that we all need to take with us.
I really love the whole just overall movie in itself, just how everything was portrayed and how everything just tied together, and it showed all aspects of what actually happened during that time. However, like we said, I'm not big on history, so parts of it was kind of confusing for me, and for that reason, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10, just because it's not my personal preference for a movie.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, like I said, it's not a movie for everybody. It's dark and serious, but I would say I give it the same exact rating. I believe I gave Barbie an 8, or I gave it an, I gave Barbie an 8. I'm going to give this one an 8 as well. This isn't, in my opinion, Christopher Nolan's top movies that I've seen, but it's definitely up there. It's not his like lowest, but it's not his highest either. So which one should you pick? And I'm probably going to say the most obvious and basic answer. But personally, both are really good. I would honestly, like, I wasn't expecting Barbie to be amazing, and it was pretty solid. And same with Oppenheimer. Like, I expected it to be pretty good, and it was pretty good, but you definitely should see both, and that's a very broad answer. However, I can give a little bit more of an in-depth answer. If you're just looking for a movie date, some fun, see Barbie. If you're looking for a story, see Oppenheimer. I think that's a good way to classify it. So if you're always wanting fun movies, Barbie. And then if you're wanting serious and storytelling movies, Oppenheimer.
It's very open-ended, so it's kind of just whatever your preference is, whatever you prefer to watch.
Thank you for joining us on our journey of the Barbenheimer event. This is one of the cinematic historic events in Hollywood, box office events. I don't know what to call it. It's a historic film, historic event. So how many times am I going to say historic and film in a sentence? So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you resonated with our reviews and you enjoyed them and respect our opinions, because obviously we're all going to have different thoughts and opinions. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed.
We had a lot of fun making this video.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It's just a good time.
Both movies, even though I'm not a history person, both movies are really good, and I'm glad we were able to watch them both. See what the hype's about.
Like and subscribe, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you later.
Bye, Barbie.